And I'm sorry for the technical difficulties transferring to the situations of these things, but it be like that. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it moving. But check this out. 4th of July weekend. This is my third time coming around with this to make sure that everybody hears it clearly. Outside of the historical narratives of this being the Independence Day, it also is correlating to a star system. And that star system is A, B, and C, Sirius star system. And, you know, back in the day before we did the Autonomous Party, we was the Sirius Folk Network. Shout out to Sirius Folk out there. You already know what it is. Wi-Fi Syndicate. I shout out to y'all too. You know what I mean? Tapping in. You know what I mean? These things still are with us. We don't forget what it is. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, though, with the Sirius constellation, understand the Sirius star system and all that corresponding to what we call Mother Earth. You know what I mean? It correlates to this dog days of the summer, which is dealing with that dog. That dog, you know what I'm saying? Anubis. Shout out to Anubis, Shoto. You know what I mean? I can give different, you know. Either way, though. So we tapping in off the fact that I just want to make sure I put that out there. Because this is my first time doing the 4th of July with y'all. And we've known about the Sirius star system situation for a minute now. But at the same time, we want to make sure that it's clear to you at the same time that this is what's popping right now. You know what I'm saying? This is really what's going on. It's correlated other than what we know. And I think everybody's barbecuing on that part, right? Independence Day. You got anything for Independence Day before we pull up? Anybody? You know what I'm saying? Because I know I got a little time. If you got anything on Independence Day, but I want to pull that up first. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I put that out there first. You know what I'm saying? Like 4th of July weekend, that's what I've been dealing with. That's why I acknowledge every 4th of July weekend. You know what I'm saying? 3rd through the 7th of July is this time frame we transcend to the dog days of the summer. You know, this is when in Florida we start getting hurricanes around this time of the year. Feel me? All the way into the fall. Pull up. Yeah, so, you know, we're going to get straight to it. I apologize. Like I said earlier, sometimes we switch over. I hope you enjoyed the campaign mix with Super Blaze. Shout out to you. Blaze, what up? You know what I mean? The transference. You know, we still working on our crossover. You know what I mean? But when I get it down, the AI shit going to be on your... Oh, I'm telling you. All right. Crossover. Pull up the 4th of July joint first, and then we're going to come in with that right there. I want to go ahead and time in. I said my time. I'm trying to get it right. We're getting ready to pull up. Like I said, we're getting ready for this debate tonight. But I want to just acknowledge the 4th of July situation because it is landing on 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? Fireworks. You know what I'm saying? So Independence Day, Sirius. These things are connected. Dog Day, summer. You know what I mean? It is hot as hell. Today it was hot. Last night it was hot. It got hot. It was hot. Florida, this is when you, okay. So, you know, outside of that, though, we always were told, though, just for the acknowledgement, shout out to the veterans. Anybody that's ever fought in war, if you had ancestors that fought in any of the military situations, shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not avoiding that situation at all. Even though I did acknowledge the as above, so below situation first. Serious. Speaking. Independence Day. The 4th of July. It's a federal holiday, which is obviously, it landed today on a Sunday, so that means most people are off tomorrow, by the way, right? That's why it's a late night barbecue type of vibe. You know what I mean? Is the United States commemorating the Declaration of Independence of the United States on July 4th, 1776. The Continental Congress, by the way, declared that the 13 American colonies were no longer subject and subordinate to the monarch of Britain, King George III, and were now united, free, and independent states. Independent states. Continental Congress. This is not nothing to do, by the way. You hear United States of America yet? Did you hear United States of America yet? I heard Continental Congress. Making sure y'all understand just that part, you know. Making sure you know. Independent states, though. Shout out to all the states. Because every state got a constitution. But still, the Congress had voted to declare independence 2 days earlier, on July 2nd. That's the day before the dog days of summer. God dog day. Ain't it? But it was not declared until July 4th. It always seems to happen like that, don't it? They writing something in, and it was happening days before. They say something stop, and it happened. I got a story to tell y'all in a minute, but I'm gonna wait. I gotta build on this one. My last part, though, this is quick and easy. I know when I do Wikipedia, I know they say people could change shit on it, but that's my quick source, man. I'm giving you, the thing that you could do your own research on if you know about the everyday history of what they call Independence Day. Now, I gave you my part that I wanted to sneak in. Serious folk. Serious folk. Shout out to the serious folk out there. Shout out to the Autonomous Party. Shout out to the chat. You know what it is. You ready? Let's pull up. Okay. So, Ish, can you hear me? Mic check 1 2.
I hear you, bro.
All right. So, how you want to do this tonight? Do you want to present something to the people about what you were going to present to him, or do you want to hold it back and go through that situation? How you want to do that?
No, man. Like I said, I mean, the people came for a presentation of knowledge and information. So if somebody doesn't want to, show up to what they agreed on, then that's on them. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But for me, I feel like, if information is presented, at least allow the people to get the information, and you and I just have a simple discussion about the topic. Just as you're working through the technical things that you're working through, no different than we all try to get over and make ends meet when things get tough. Just make adjustments. We pivot and we keep it moving. It is what it is,
All right. I'm open to that. Hey, I mean,
we've all heard the viewpoints. We've heard the viewpoints of, now one cannot say that Black is quote unquote a nationality. Also, it's very important to understand that the foundation of what you derive from comes from your lineage. And that's not covered by the term Black. That's just keeping it real. So in other words, you still have to define what is your family genealogy and what is your family bloodline in order to find out what tribe you come from specifically, However, when someone makes a statement that the term Black is synonymous with slavery, that's a falsehood, because you have multiple avenues as far as statuses of Blackness. You have Blackness that was in a slave status, but then you also had Blackness that was in a free status. And it's been that way since before America was established. You've always had different versions of how they would define Blackness, whether it's the term Black specifically, or if it's the term Negro. You would have the Negroes that recognized as coming from Africa, right? Terra de Guinea. And then you had Negro de Terra and you had Negro de Guinea. You had those two versions. You had the Blacks that came from the land, and you had the Blacks that came from Guinea or from Africa. So there's always
Negro, right? Negro, really, Negro.
Exactly. Negro de Terra and Negro de Guinea.
Right.
So you have these different versions of Blackness.
But still, when we look at Negro, it don't necessarily mean Black.
That's correct. That's correct. That's one of the descriptive terms of quote unquote Black. But these were different terms that were being applied before America got established. So, and also, even when you dealt with the term Blackness, on the back chat, I have an article to be pulled up. Let's see if
you got it. You got it. All right, he's gonna pull up.
Okay. And
so go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So in this particular article, it's going to show a specific form of a Black condition. The article says, as you can read right there, it says, when Alabama turned up the heat on free Blacks before the Civil War, some of them chose slavery. Think about the weight of that. Number one, it proved my point, open and shut case, that there's two forms of Blackness. If a person chooses to be a slave, then what does that mean their status is for them to choose slavery? You answer that for me, brother.
Hold on, let me go back up. Let's go back to it.
Point it out again. Where we looking at on the where you
The
asked us
name
to
of the
pull up?
article.
Okay, so when Alabama turned up the heat on free blacks before Civil War, some of them chose slavery. Interesting. So
So,
now,
what would be the status of a person if they chose slavery? What would be their status?
Good question.
good question. Free.
Exactly. You'd have to be free in order to have a choice to choose slavery.
I know
Sh-
this. All right.
All
So
right,
now
so
this
now
is the
this is the
thing,
thing,
because
because I don't know who you came to debate, but we not debating, because now this is the discussion, right?
Exactly. Yeah, of course.
The slavery part. In this case, could it not also meant like a employee at that time?
Well, I mean, let's look at what the article says.
Okay.
The article says that Sally Johnson, this document on file. So, in other words, they had to submit paperwork into a probate office. Sally is a free person. She marked by an X on Sally Johnson's petition to become a slave. It's one of the number of such petitions filed by free blacks who were under increasing pressure from white authorities nervous about the possible insurrection in the years before the Civil War. So let's put it in a context, shall we? We're talking about before the Civil War, that these status of black free people were living in Alabama and they were making a choice to be slaves. So they'd have to submit paperwork, get it approved by a judge to sign off on it, asking you, number one, are you in your sane mind? Uh, this person, in other words, they gave black people the choice to choose masters. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not what I'm saying. This is what the article and this is what the history proves. So, how are you going to sit here and come before the public and say that black is synonymous with slavery when the historical proof is that you had free people choosing to be slaves? So, it wasn't, black isn't synonymous with being slavery. It's a status that some people chose to go into. Not all. There were some people who were actually kidnapped and stolen and put and enslaved. But there were
Right.
other people. There were other people. So you cannot make the blanket statement that black is synonymous with slavery. That's my specific point on this part of it. So another example, again, that's just in one specific location.
Okay.
But what we can also do is check and see maybe some other areas of where this dynamic was taking place, or just some other examples of it taking place, of people interacting as far as being free and others who were enslaved, because there are other reasons of why a person may be put into servitude. One was called being bound out. So, if anyone would like to pull up the term bound out, that means that you were a free person, maybe you were a free family, but you were very poor. You were bound out, maybe a younger, like a 15-year-old, to go and work for someone as a servant, aka a slave. But your status was actually free. So again, these are other versions, historically well documented history of free people who are black who were working as servitudes. So when they feed you the myth that black is synonymous with slavery, number one, it's not true. But number two, there are other various reasons of why these persons may be in servitude. Those are just 2 to 3 of the reasons. But we'll also go with one of the examples that's coming from one of the historians. I'm just going to shoot the link in order for it to be pulled up in just one moment.
I had a question.
Of course, yes, sir.
I got a question.
Mhm.
So, based off of the debate with the person tonight, Ishmael Mahdi, his stance was based off this term black, that it's not synonymous. Oh, wait. You're saying basically that black is not synonymous with slave, right? I'm
That
on
is
point.
correct. My position is that black is not synonymous with slavery. That is
And
correct.
his position is that it is, right?
His position is that it is absolutely.
Okay, make sure we clear because this what this whole thing came about. Just make sure we clear everybody out there, right? So now, as you just displayed, all right? You just displayed an article, Alabama, free people choosing slavery, and I asked you based off that question, the slavery in that time frame could be to sharecropper contract or some kind of employment situation privately based off of servitude, slavery, speaking in that timeline. You on the same page? Just make sure before I move forward.
Yeah. I mean, like the indentured servitude phase, that was before. That was in the, that was. This is talking about in the 1800s. That
Right.
indentured servitude stage was more in the 1600s.
Right, but what I'm saying is these people that are dealing. Wait, you said sharecroppers was in 1600s, not in the 1800s?
No, I meant the indentured servitude, but sharecropping, of course, that could have came after the phase of you actually being free. They give you the option to sharecrop after. That was in 65. This is before that. This is in the 1630s. I mean, this is in the 1830s. The 1830s. This is before. Yeah, this is before emancipation.
All right, so now the free black people that we're talking about, because I know there was free black people. I mean, you're not, like I said, this debate is not between me and you. I know there was free black people. It's documented. I can name some groups of swarthy people that came to the Americas that weren't slaves.
I'm not talking about swarthy. I'm talking about you and I. I'm not talking about.
I said swarthy.
Yeah. But I mean, I think when people say swarthy, they think more Farad Muhammad or kind of. No, I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Real?
I'm talking about us.
So swarthy don't.
It do.
Ooh,
swarthy do mean us.
Real quick.
No, swarthy do mean us. But swarthy, sometimes when people apply swarthy, they try to apply it to somebody who's maybe a little more Mediterranean looking, and that it covers that too. But when I'm talking about black, I'm talking about you and I black. When I'm talking about black, okay. So I'm talking about people in Alabama who look like you and I were free, never enslaved, and moving around in society, owning land, had tribal. They were part of tribes, and they were living there, and they did not leave from there. That is a part of that history. And these are the people. There were an element of even those people who chose to be slaves. Because
who are these people that are choosing to be slaves that are being labeled as black, though? Question.
I just showed you the article.
No, wait. I'm asking you this for a reason. Because we know, as you said earlier, too, before the article, that black is not a nationality. You said that. I heard you say that in the beginning. So,
and that's true.
Who are these group of people that's taking on the label of black? Because there has to still be a nation of people connected to that term of free people.
These would be
black.
These would be Aboriginal people. These would be Aboriginal people.
I agree with that, but still,
right.
Are we talking about indigenous tribes, African slaves? Yeah. Like, where are we going with this part?
These would be Aboriginal people, meaning these would be what you would call Indian tribes. These would be Indian tribal people who have actually rights to the land, which is why they're landowners during this time. We're talking about people who are owning land in the 1820s, the 1830s, the 1840s. These people are owning land.
Wait a second. Hold on, Ish. You ain't talking to me tonight. I'm talking to the people because you said some things tonight. You say you were supposed to get us to the man that's supposed to get this work tonight. I feel like, now you gonna get that. All right. I feel like I'm interviewing. We're gonna change up my whole standpoint of what we doing tonight real quick. Hold on.
But this was in the South, but I don't want to just limit it to the South. We need to also take a look. Right. We need to take a look at what was going on in the North. So if y'all can pull up the video of Black slavery that I have on the back chat, let's see what the historian and the experts say about that element. How about we allow them to speak for themselves?
Okay. This man, what's going on with him though? How is this going to work tonight? Because I see like this man must have known he was stepping into. Maybe he called somebody or something. And they told him don't come to the debate, it's not a good idea because this is supposed to be I was promoting a more on a more war. So I don't even understand how. I'm gonna get into that in a minute. I'm gonna let you present the information because we're gonna have this discussion now that he ain't here tonight. Off that, I get to talk to you tonight. By the way, fuck it. You wanna play?
One of the
Can
most
anybody hear
interesting
my
things
check?
about Philadelphia, you have these close connections between the enslaved populations and the free black populations. They were living right beside each other. So you can be a free person walking along the street, shopping, and you can run into an enslaved person. And most of the time they did not speak because there was a very sharply divided community between those who had and those who did not. I think Philadelphia, even more so than Baltimore, you saw that the communities, as they were growing alongside each other, were growing in very different directions. Families like James Fortin did not interact with the enslaved populations. They were educating their children. They were planning to have them be a part of the future. They were building their economies. So what would they have been doing with people who could not read or write? They were not helping them in a lot of ways to gain freedom. You did have those small communities, the abolitionists, who were beginning to grow at that time, because that was really the beginnings of the abolitionist movement. But at the same time, the free black population in the mid-18th century was about building their family, about building their economy, about finding ways to kind of deal with the aftermath of the war, thinking about what their legacies were going to be and how they were going to make sure their children were educated and kept free. Because there was always that danger that your child could end up on the wrong street and be shipped somewhere where you can never find them again. So I think that's interesting. I think that set the stage for Philadelphia by the 19th century becoming the place that it was.
Thank you for sharing that clip. Thank you so much
Oh
for
man,
the
hey bro.
editing as well as for the professionalism of the platform. I want to say that before this evening's over. Thank you for that. So let's
You know,
let's unpack of what she said first. I'll be right to you, brother. I promise. But let's
okay.
unpack what she said. She said that you could be in the streets of Philadelphia and have free black people walking right in front of enslaved black people, and they not even know how to communicate with one another. So if this dynamic was taking place in the South, we just showed what was going on in Georgia and Alabama, but now we're taking it up to Philadelphia. The same dynamics taking place of those who are enslaved and those who are free. She said specifically James Fortin. She said James Fortin wouldn't know how to identify with those who are enslaved because he was reading and writing and focusing on education and trying to put things together to move the race forward. But you can't, he had no words for those who could not even read and write and who were in servitude. So this dynamic was taking place. But somebody comes along later on and tells you all that you all came from slavery, when the dynamic was taking place in the South and in the North, of you walking down the same exact streets, being in the same exact store historically. And then you have people today promoting a myth that black was synonymous with slavery. That simply is not the facts. That simply is not the truth. So that was yet another example. And I'm sorry, brother, what was your question?
No, I mean, I could go a lot of places with this whole conversation, everything you're showing right now. 'Cause like I said, I'm not the one supposed to be asking you these questions, but because I ain't prepared. You see, you caught me off guard. You got me caught. But in the conversation of what I want to ask you overall,
Just play God's advocate. I mean, we're just having a conversation, bro.
I know I am. I know. I just ain't gonna
yeah.
lie. I'm just
You mentioned James Fortin.
Yes.
it's a lot, right? So abolitionists,
Right.
these people were free
Right.
before 1865.
Right.
See, I'm trying. Like you said, you caught me off guard tonight because now I got to put myself in a discussion mode. That wasn't like I said. I'm having to respond to you. I don't want to respond to react. I want to respond and give you a real discussion. See what I'm saying? So I got
I
to
do
take what I
indeed.
hear and comprehend it. Because I ain't gonna lie, I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping it real. I wasn't expecting in this manner and me to be in this. But since we go into it,
Right.
And me and you can respectfully do that. Obviously, I know that. So,
Yeah.
in the time of the people they call the abolitionists, this is
Right.
before 1865. This is before the independence. What date did we pull up earlier for July 4th? Since we were talking about
Yeah, this was
the
slavery in
abolitionists.
Philadelphia. So this is up north with the slave dynamic that was taking place. So yeah, this was back then. It was
This is
1700.
before July 4th, 17, the
74.
Independence Day,
It was
right?
like around those years. Yeah.
So there was free people here before July 4th,
There you go.
the Independence Day today. Right.
Mhm.
I agree with that. 100%. A matter of fact, that's a fact. That's not me agreeing. That's just a fact.
That's a
See, that's
fact.
why I don't know what I don't know what your debate person is going to go into. But what's going to happen in this conversation is this: the abolitionists. Who were they?
Right.
Who were the abolitionists that you're speaking about right now?
And I think that was why it was important that in that clip that what she said was there was an element of abolitionists. So those are the people who wanted to relate to changing the condition of enslaved people. And they
Mm,
were saying that we can come together as a group and we can kind of uplift these people in this condition for humanity's sake. This is what the role of what an abolitionist did. There
hmm
was another element of our people who really was all about, I'm taking care of me and mine. I'm good. And as long as I'm good, y'all can kind of reap the benefits of what I'm going to do. That's really, in truth and honesty, where W.E.B. Du Bois was coming from. W.E.B. Du Bois, when he came along later on, he was saying we can form the talented 10th because the talented 10th were supposed to be the representatives of the Negro race. They
Wait a
were.
minute.
Mhm.
Whoa. Wait.
Yeah.
W.E.D. Du Bois,
Yes.
talented 10.
Yes.
Actually, were not, and he knew his bloodline, his genealogy. He knew his background. He
He
wasn't
did.
an Indian like that. He wasn't
Correct.
indigenous, dark, aboriginal, American tribal background. He was more of the European, dark-skinned person that came over to the Americas. He
They were
represented.
of that. They were of that paper bag test of being. That was one of the criteria. That's why he would mock Marcus Garvey for being so dark. That's why he would mock Marcus Garvey and call him a monkey. That's why he would mock him because he was coming from. I'm of the pure stock of representing the black race, the talented 10.
European, but that's the black European black race we talking about when we come to W.E.D. Du Bois. I don't think a lot of people know
That's correct,
talented. You
bro.
said talented 10. So this is my conversation. He's a European. He's not representing Africa. He's not representing the indigenous dark skinned people. He's representing his dominant Negro people that he wants to have. Am I missing something? Did I go off? Can you hear me still?
Yes.
You can hear me. I'm making sure I thought something went on. So what I'm saying is overall, how do you look at that angle? Because that's what's being, you mentioned the talented 10. So
Yes.
being
In
you
fact,
mentioned the
in fact,
talented
maybe
10.
maybe we can pull that up. Maybe if y'all can pull up the talented 10, it kind of gives a structure of kind of what we're discussing. I don't want to assume that everyone knows
No,
what the talented 10th is. So how
no
about we
problem.
kind of find out what that is, and then because again, this was the group. They was trying to say that this talented 10th was an elite group of Negroes that were
hmm
going to represent the race. They were supposed to be the most intelligent, the most industrious, the most, the finest that the Negroes could offer under him forming this group of people by his approval. So I think it's very important that people understand what the talented 10th was supposed to be about.
All right. Can you see what I'm seeing? Because I don't see you. Just
Yes,
making
sir.
sure.
You want to read that? Mm-hmm.
Can you see it? Everybody can see what I'm saying? I'll make sure. The talented 10 is a term that designated a leadership of class of African descended Americans in the earlier 20th century. The terms created by white northern philanthropy. Ooh, I messed up that word.
Philanthropist. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. And
Mm-hmm.
then publicized by W.E.B. Du Bois in an influential essay of the same name, which he published in September 1903. it appeared in the Negro Problem, a collection of essays written by leading African Americans. So now, this is my problem with this whole thing right here, though.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even move no
Mm-hmm.
forward. Go back up. Let's analyze this block of words you're looking at right now.
Yeah, let's unpack that. Absolutely.
Talented 10 is a term that's designated by a leadership class of African descendants Americans. So whoever put this in there, Wikipedia, right? Right. At that time, that term was not being used unless it was underneath a certain type of class of people that subscribed to a certain church, which would be the AME church, which would also subscribe to the certain people that you spoke about earlier, dealing with abolitionists. The abolitionists in the term before we got even the term emancipation, manumission, and abolitionists go hand in hand, and they were looking out for their people that got stranded, or we would call marooned, in the Americas during the time of the transition of it becoming United States of America. And these free people of color, black, as they were described, still are being mislabeled because the term African is not their actual genealogy roots.
And that's very important that you point that out, accurately so, because we cannot ignore the fact that it says right there, the term was created by white northern philanthropists. That means he who cuts the check, he who cuts the check, that they call the tune. So in other words, if I'm the money man and I'm a white northerner, I'm going to finance who the talented 10th are. Since I'm cutting the check, I'll tell you who the most talented people are. And we'll push the narrative that I want to be pushed because I'm financing this. So it was not homegrown. They pushed a false narrative to make sure that the representatives of the Negro race were white financed. That's where the NAACP comes from. It was run by the Spingarn family. The Spingarn family, these white Jews, were the elite families that helped form the NAACP. So the highest award of the NAACP is called the Spingarn Award. These were the white people who were financing these type of groups, and that cannot be ignored.
White northern liberals.
Correct. And they were the people who were financing these groups of the top elite representatives of the Negro race, pushing a false narrative.
All right, so now.
Yes, sir.
Because your debate with the brother tonight that didn't show up, I'm not disrespecting him, but I'm going to be devil's advocate, right?
No, you God's advocate.
Fireworks.
But I get the point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm being sarcastic when I say that. I'm just saying,
I know that.
And no disrespect to the brother that can't speak for himself, but it says here white northern liberals. And the word white doesn't necessarily mean a color or a person's skin, does it?
No, not necessarily. No, it doesn't.
Not necessarily, right?
That's correct.
I mean, because white northern liberals could be from a region dealing with the term white from European descent, Middle East descent, or even North African descent, can actually today still fall underneath the status of what this term white means today, even though I know some people get caught up in colorism. But me and you ain't talking about colors right now. So this man, W.E.B. Du Bois, who's representing these liberals, will fall underneath the category of a dark-skinned man today that represented the regions of the European, Middle East, and North Africa. You know what I mean? North Africa.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You see where I'm going with this?
That's a fact, bro. Yeah, I do. Yes.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So just because, I mean, he's tawny. Some people might say, I ain't gonna call him swarthy. W.E.B. Du Bois is not like me and you. He's not, you know what I mean?
That's
he's
correct.
Not dark.
That's correct. Like I said, he mocked dark people.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Real talk. I get that part. So yes. I want to make sure I'm clear about my standpoint in our conversation, because I understand that you also pointed out the American Baptist Home Mission Society. You see that, right?
Yes.
So when it comes to right after that, it says a Christian missionary society strongly supported by John D. Rockefeller.
More money.
More money. So
Yes.
who are they being funded by? Who are the Rockefellers that's funding this group of people that today are being described as Africans or
Right.
black?
Right.
Think like because this is not to be missed over. This is not to be looked over in my casual conversation with you tonight, just off this little piece of information that we're talking
Yes.
on right now. I'm keeping it
Hmm.
real
Yes.
because it's very specific to this ideology and subject matter of this term black being described a majority of us today in what we call black. Yeah, y'all get where
Right.
I'm going? Anybody else in this room? Am I tripping?
Nope.
I'm not tripping, right? I'm not tripping.
No, because they fully finance the narrative that's being pushed. It says they show you right there in that same part of the article that they financed the black colleges as they were coming up. These were all being financed by these people. That's why you have Otis Howard, which is how Howard University got its name. Otis Howard used to run the Freedmen's Bureau. So there's interconnected and being financed by white people to push this specific aspect of that history. But it's ignoring the fact that the true meaning of the term black is ties you to this actual landmass. And there were two versions of blackness. You had blacks that were enslaved, but you always had a black element that was just as free and moving in this society since before the country was established. So I just wanted to make sure that people aren't using the blanket statements or the false narratives, because your ancestors may have told you this aspect was this way, but if you are believing the false narrative, you'll instantly equate that to slavery. And that simply is not accurate. You really have to check your genealogy and your bloodline for that. You feel me?
No, you see, I can't say nothing to you when you say genealogy. See, I don't, because that's not a black or white thing.
Right.
That's a nation of people. That's a
Correct.
bloodline. That's not
Correct.
today's social standards of the narrative of you following these ranges that we were put into. You know what I mean? In today's time. See what I'm saying?
Facts.
Because a lot of us might not fit the category that we're marking down when it comes to the term black and white, based off what you read in the CDC Federal Directive 15. See what I'm saying? I'm going to go to this factual thing in my conversation because I understand that the word white is a status that's dealing with an actual original people that go back to these regions. I'm going to keep it 100. And black is dealing with not even our original people, but an ethnic group that goes back to people they describe as Africans. They don't even say the tribe or the states or the regions of Africa. They just say ethnic group. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
from a genealogy standpoint, a lot of people don't fit that narrative that I'm coming across that actually digging on a heritage from a genealogical standpoint. And I'm being real with you. It's a party for July weekend. I'm vibing. And then I hope the dude was going to come fill in, but we could do this conversation like this all day. You know what I mean? You do. Feel me? Because this is me and you. We can pull up whatever
Absolutely.
we want to pull up. I got a good 40 minutes. We could do this. So I want you to understand that I'm not biased because I'm not a person that thinks in that manner. I'm not talking to that kind of person. Live on this Music Media Lounge, the Thomas Party podcast, that show that we do every Sunday. And you've been on here 3 times with me now. And you are more, by the way, right? And I
That's
know
correct.
Ishmael Bey, co-founder of the Amin Ra Squad, is on the, like, you've been doing this a long time. You've
That's right.
covered the African perspective. But as I've gotten to know you, you have Muskogee roots from a genealogical standpoint,
Correct.
which also have roots connected to the Irish, right? That makes
That's
sense.
correct. That's right.
But your people is in Alabama, ain't they?
That's right.
Okay, so hold up. Wait a second. If we're gonna go there and you know that off your own roots, but you are more, can you break that down? And before we do that, can you pull up for me, God, MOHR etymology, MOHR. But first, can you please break that down? 'Cause I know you know better than I know your
Mhm.
family heritage, and you've told me before but because I'm just in the devil advocate seat, and I'm not disrespecting when I ask this question.
Yes, sir.
I'm not. I'm not. So
Right.
you like the term more better than black, but you're still here defending black. That's
Sure.
what makes it unique. You see where I'm going? Because you're showing that the word black, based off of the people that you just pulled up, like W.E.B. Du
Sure.
Bois, who has a certain background that doesn't go back to being
Hmm.
black. It goes back to nature of the
Yes.
people, just like you.
Right.
So you could choose the better term, but you're still describing the fact that these free people of color that came over here and assimilated to societies and mixed in and took place in all sorts of mixes and stuff were
Right.
not necessarily slaves because they decided to be labeled what we call today black.
Right.
Is that right? Is that right?
That is accurate. That is accurate. Correct.
Okay. So,
Correct. And
see,
and
I
and
ain't
and
slow. I ain't
and the
slow.
and
I'm
the
not
and the
slow.
reason for that is that the terms are not mutually exclusive. You can be mutually inclusive and use these particular terms. An example would be if I live in Las Vegas, I'm a Las Vegan. I'm also an American. I'm also black. I can be multiple things and still be the same me. So in other
Right.
words, it's the context and the application of the titles of what really matters. But if you use blanket terms and say only this or only that, number one, you're wrong. But number two, you're not actually putting a context to a term. It's very important to understand how terms are used and how terms are applied. So as we
Yeah.
kind of go to a different aspect of blackness, of what it means, let's unpack it and take a little step deeper. Um, if the editor can pull up the Malcolm X on Aborigine clip I have on the back chat, let's see what Malcolm says about
Yo,
that, and let's see if we can kind of prove whether Malcolm is correct or incorrect with his term Aborigine and how it applies to our people, because he's very clear on how the term is applied. So let's see if he's speaking the truth or not.
all right, hold on. Yo,
Okay.
God, I gotta call out to God. Shout out to God. God, pull up.
Find a
Guess
white
what, bro?
aborigine. Aborigines are called natives.
Mm-hmm.
Aborigine, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like
Bring
to
that
be
back.
called an aborigine.
Bring that back.
Aborigine, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Okay. Actually, that was one of my favorite words, actually, from the brother Malcolm. Real talk. Like, shout out to Malcolm for that. No, for real though. Like,
Absolutely.
see, but now you got something coming behind this. You shared this with me. It's one thing you did share with me. I hate to spoil it for the July weekend. You did share with me that even though the word Aboriginal, and he said black folk, and as a blanket term, I'm black folk. I know that. When I walk on the street, they look at me, I'm Negro, I'm black. Now, what kind of black I am, they don't know that. But that's the general term I'm gonna take. And not gonna get I'm not gonna be offended. Someone say, that's a black man over there. No, I'm not gonna be like, oh, what? I'm not a black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
this time of day, we ain't got time for that. Because necessarily, again, just like you can't describe a black man today and say that that black man is a criminal or if he's a lawyer. Feel me? Or a
That's correct.
judge or a thug.
He can be
No
a
matter how he
neurosurgeon, or he can be exactly correct. Exactly correct.
so there's general terms blanket for us. This falls into a conversation since I have time with you tonight to ask you about. But
Yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and let you describe what you want to do. I ain't gonna go into all of it. Just in case he calls back, he want to pull up again. He gonna have to wait a little while. But I'm ready to do it again because I want to see really what he was saying about this whole conversation.
Absolutely.
Since me and you
So,
doing it for him.
if y'all can pull up
Go
on the
ahead.
back chat the term black. This is from Oxford Dictionary.
Yeah.
You'll see at
That's what I was waiting for.
on the top left-hand corner, the very first right there in that left-hand corner, it says black. It says a member of what?
A member of the dark-skinned people, especially one of African or Australian Aboriginal ancestry.
So let's look at that. Let's unpack that, because again, the example that they use in there is, it talks about actually the blacks of America is the example that they use on there. But just for context purposes, we really need to find out what Aboriginal, we'll say Australians, call themselves. I think that's very important to do that, because that's what one of the definitions is. So let's see what it says. Can y'all pull up that clip that I just put in there on the back chat, and let's see what the Aboriginal people call themselves. There's a video on there as well as the information. Let's see what they self-define as. Okay. And I think that's a very important article. And so what it says is,
Okay.
again, this article is from May, just came up. Fed up Australians, Aboriginal woman calls out racist Americans for calling her Mexican and insisted she's not black because of the shade of her skin. So it says right here, if you look underneath that, the first picture that's there, it says, I'm not Mexican. It says, what did it say?
I see it. I'm not Mexican. All right, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You can read it.
I said, I'm not Mexican, Aboriginal Australians. That's what I am. We identify as black fellas. As black fellas, we also believe it's not the color of your skin that identifies your blackness. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much milk you add to that tea, it's still going to be tea.
Now, this is Aboriginals, Australians speaking for themselves. They say we identify as black.
That's that lady in the video right there? You pull it
That's
up?
her. That's her in the video. And also there's another one that's below her too. One's a singer. She's a comedian, the one that right there up top. But there's also a singer that's saying the same thing. We're black people.
Right.
So they're self-defining who they are. And they're not saying that blackness is limited to a color. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad taught that blackness is color, consciousness, culture, and a corresponding cosmic connection. This is what makes us as black. So in other words, she's saying that it's not limited to what my skin color is that makes me black. It's a culture of what ties me to the land as an Aboriginal. No different than if you pull up what the dictionary term is, it's going to tell you what black means. Black isn't limited to just Aboriginal in one sense. They use Aboriginal as a term for indigenous people here also.
Of course.
So it isn't limited. When you use the term black, it is not synonymous with slavery. I need to keep bringing that home, because people lie and use these particular narratives that need to be addressed. I'm sorry, you had a question, bro.
No. I mean, bro, I agree with you. All right, shoot. The lady I'm looking at on the screen, you're right. Today we will call her black, but at the end of the day, she has many different backgrounds. You can tell based off her features. You know what I'm saying? That she's mixed with, just like a lot of us are mixed, no matter the complexion of our skin. I mean, none of our complexion or our skin match actually our hair on our head or our beards.
That's correct.
I know my beard is black, but they will call black. I'm not colorblind. The seat I'm sitting in is black, and my skin don't match the seat I'm in right now. So it's brown, ruddy brown, ruddy brown. I'm a brown, by the way. You know that, right? So you know I'm gonna talk shit.
No doubt.
You know I'm gonna talk shit. I'm a brown. Brown. You know what I'm saying? I can talk shit, but see, I know what reddish brown look like too.
Yes.
So I don't like to get caught up in. If we're gonna get caught up in color, I'm gonna go with the color. Look, I'm wearing a blue shirt. You know what I'm saying? This is brown skin. This is black hair.
Facts.
I got salt and pepper. You see the white? I'm getting
Yes.
old or wise, whatever you want to call it. Either way, though, I'm just saying, I understand what you're saying tonight. That's easy. Now, he's not coming. So now that I understand it, this is the question I want to ask.
Sure.
Can you pull up the more MOHR etymology? The German pronunciation of more.
Correct.
Yeah, pull it up. That's it. MOHR. This description I've come across is
Mhm.
Germanic.
That's right.
Why do you describe yourself as more and not black? Being that you're still defending black. Uh-oh.
hmm
Can you hear me? Make sure.
Yes, I hear you.
All right. You see, it says here. Now, oh, there it is. There it is. All right, here we go. So, etymology, right? You see, it says German at
Yes.
the top. You see the surname at the
Yes.
top. And this is not, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't choose Wikipedia. But this is the closest thing I'll pull up. Anybody out there that's listening to me right now, I expect you to go to etymology of this situation and see if we can get to that point. You know what I mean? But it's cool. You know what I mean? I'm gonna read this first. We're gonna try to pull up the etymology one too, so I can get more descriptive. But still, off the Wikipedia example, it says Middle High German, MOR, and you know I can go on that, MORE. We use that in English today, not as actually descriptive of a noun, but more in the adjective. Because when I add to more on, to what I'm speaking on today, right now, we will get to old High or German. Then it comes back to MOR again from Latin, Morus, 8th century. Then it says pronunciation, homophone. The word homophone is used, y'all, for those that's into the vernacular, literal literacy and all that. MOOR. It's gonna come down again. Noun, MOHR, genitive, MOHREN, plural. Same word again. Morin, feminine version of the same word again. Underneath it, it says dated, blackamoor, Negro, more. So you choose. I didn't hear black there though. Did you hear black? Did anybody hear black?
No, not from what you read.
I mean, Ish, did you hear black?
I did not hear black. No, no.
All right, so I see Negro there. Do you see Negro?
I do.
You see black more. Oh, I caught myself. Black a more. There's a
That's
black.
correct. Correct.
How do you describe that? How do you describe as a more, speaking that you see yourself as a Negro and you understand black attached to the term more, and this term more, based off the definition? Can you give me the etymology real quick?
Yeah, I mean, if one pulls up the term of blackamoor, it was a self-defining term of one who were describing themselves. It was a self-describing, I'm a black Moor from Barbary, was the first time that it was used in English. So if a person would have to.
Right now,
I'm sorry, go ahead, bro.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I was just gonna say,
No, that's my bad. Go ahead. Finish what you said.
One could go to the Oxford Dictionary 20-volume set. They have 8 pages on just the word black alone. But it gives you the context of which the term black was first used in English. So if you go to you can go to a real library, look at the 20 set edition of Oxford Dictionary, and simply view it for yourself. But it's a self-defining term. So once you put into context how Moor is used or how black is used in describing Moors, you start to understand where it applies to you. My hometown in Alabama is called Andalusia, Alabama. And Andalusia has its name from the indigenous populations of people that were there. So in other words, they're not just using these terms for no reasons. There's a Spanish history. There's a rich Spanish history all throughout the South. But one would have to understand where that falls in and where you fall into place in it. If you fall within that particular paradigm, then that will be something that you would use as a description. I know that history. I've traced my family genealogy back to 1585. So I'm very well aware of the terms that I use and how it applies to me. You were about to say something, bro.
No, actually, I was going to say, he pulled up the etymology of MOOR.
Mm-hmm.
I typed in MOHR.
That's what it's straight there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so North African, Berber, one of the race dwelling in Barbary, late 14th century, from Old French. So the French are involved. MORE, from medieval Latin, Morus. Spanish is involved. Latin. MORUS. From Latin, MAURUS. You put me on to this right here. I'm gonna give you credit. Like Mauritania.
Right. Yes, sir.
Mauritania. So all this is, I mean, you talked about this. I remember this is a couple of weeks ago, actually. It's on our conversation, and you was talking about this, and I'm giving you credit for how you were like, I actually like, so Mauritania, where the Moors region come from? Mauritania. And you broke down that Tania means land, and Moor is the people in the description, right?
Correct. That's correct. That's what the definition means. That's right.
We're looking at it right here. You're not making it up no more. This is what we're looking at. That's what we're breaking down.
I ain't making it up no more. Thank you. That's right. That's right. That's right.
I'm fucking with you. No, I gotta fuck with you a little bit. Hey,
yes,
listen,
sir.
man, I'm just fucking with you a little bit. No. No, Bruno. North Africa, though, today falls into the category of white here in America. Am I right?
Right. That's correct. If you come from North Africa or that region of Africa, if you came over to America, they put you in the category of white. That is correct, brother.
And you could be like dark like me and you, right?
That is correct, bro.
Like I'm making sure we understand what we're saying right now. In today's time, right now,
right?
Me and you come from North Africa right now,
right?
To America right now.
Same skin tone that we have right now. That's correct.
The status would be white, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Thank you for answering that question. Honestly, that's beautiful.
And we have to understand that since race is a social construct.
Yes.
If the editor, if brother producer, if you could pull up Sarah Rector. The name is Sarah Rector.
Hey, Ish.
And
I've been here for a couple hours, right? I'm gonna have to take a back for a break. I'll keep it real.
Okay.
You gonna play a song, or you wanna? No, I'm gonna let you have the flow. Give me the flow.
Okay.
And get the people. I'm be right back.
No problem, bro.
Doing our thing tonight. Y'all know what it is. Give me 1 second. Be right back.
And the reason why I'm asking to pull up Sarah Rector is because she was a sister who looked like myself. She's a Creek Indian, and her family had moved to Oklahoma, and on her land plot was oil, and she became wealthy. She became one of the wealthiest children in America because the oil was on her allotted land. And she was so wealthy that white men wanted to marry her. So they went and actually changed her status. They changed her status to being a white woman so that the white man could try to court her and marry her to get access to her money. So that's why we have to keep into context that race is a social construct. If you can change someone, whether you come from a different part of the country, you come over here, they make you white, or if they want to get access to your money, they will change your social status in order to try to make that end. So that's why another reason why is you can't necessarily take on face value everything that you're reading in a census, because if the census workers coming, they actually got paid more if they would label people as Negro or Black than they would if a person was labeled as white. So they actually had incentives to actually change the category of how you were labeled. So I just wanted to use Sarah Rector as one of those examples of those people that they changed their race for a specific reason, and also to make sure that as you're checking these records, that you always put into context exactly what you're viewing. Because if you don't, then you'll be taking someone at face value, and the records may be not quite adding up to maybe what your family was telling you orally, or what you know as a human being. So that's why I wanted to use Sarah Rector as an example. And if I may, I'd like to use another example. Is that okay if I use another example also? Is that okay?
It's on you. Do your thing. But no,
Okay.
wait. Matter of fact, nope. Let me stop. Let me be honest. Shit, I took a bathroom break.
Yeah, no problem.
No, so Sarah Rector.
Right.
Why did you use Sarah Rector? By the way,
Well,
why did you use Sarah Rector? By the way, tonight.
I use Sarah Rector because she looks like you and I, but they changed her status to white. So in other words, if they could go into the records so that they can marry her, if you read her story, she was very wealthy. They found oil on her creek allotted land in Oklahoma, and the white grown men wanted to court her, and they had to change her legal status so that they would have the ability to try to court her, to marry her, to get her money. So they changed her status to a white woman. So I was just showing different examples of if you came from a different part of Africa, they would change your status to white, or if they had their own means of wanting to get your wealth, they can change your race to white. So I just wanted to use Sarah Rector as one of those examples. That was my reason, bro.
I wanted to ask you this though. I caught you when you said Africa.
Yeah.
In her case,
she's Creek Indian. Yeah, she's
her
Creek
background.
Indian. She's a Creek.
Right.
Yeah.
Muskogee.
That's right.
Muskogee.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Muskogee. I ain't gonna call her by the Creek side indigenous. So what African part is there? What part of Africa are we talking about when we say she's African?
She's indigenous.
Are we saying
I was talking about
standpoint? Like,
no, brother. I was talking about you and I were talking earlier about coming from North Africa. I was using multiple examples of if you come from North Africa, they would make you white, or if they wanted to get your money and you were from here, they would change your status. That was the examples I was using. That's what I meant.
I got you. Bet. So now, how's this work with North Africa being white, but South Africa being, or West Africa being Black? Why is that the difference? Why is North Africa is still Africa, right?
Yes.
But the North Africans, the Middle East, is the Middle East not still on the continent of Africa?
Ultimately, it just comes down to plain old racism. Basically, that line of demarcation has always been the Senegal River. If you are north of the Senegal River, they looked at you more favorable as far as being more acceptable in society. If you were below the Senegal River, you probably had a different form of features that there will be more of a threat to them in society, and they would deem you as something else. So that's generally where they were kind of separated at, the Senegal River. If you were above it, you'd be considered one thing, and if you were below it, they would treat you as something different. But again, that structure was set up by Portuguese and by Europeans, so that's their devilish behavior.
Got you. So check this out, right?
Yes, sir.
Now that we have this conversation about Sarah Rector, and you really, I mean, again, you got something else you want to pull up. I was told you got something, God told me on the boards. He had on our boards, and the God's on our boards. See,
yes, sir.
That's symbolic, by the way. We ain't talking about a God, but
yes.
spooky shit.
That's
Nobody out
right.
there listening to me on those.
Everything's real.
Got a great
Right.
so everything's real. It's not no. Oh my gosh, nobody get caught up on me tonight. But still, we go pull up something else for you still before we go back on our mix.
Yeah, no problem. We just having a conversation. We all
So we're gonna
good.
try to get.
Mhm.
That's what happened, and I apologize. I don't know why don't the Moors. I got something I want to pull up too. I want you to hang around. Actually, don't go nowhere
For
because
sure.
there's some things that's happened recently, and I'm gonna ask you these questions. It's just me and you tonight happen to be so. They're making a
Cool.
show out of it, debate or not. In our discussion, how does it work with this critical race theory? What do you think about the term they're using now? Critical race theory and BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color. Oh, bad and white. Black, parentheses, Indigenous, parentheses, People of Color, as they have it. How do you look at these situations now? And that relates to critical race theory, by the way. And you, knowing Black, and you're defending Black, knowing that fits into the critical race theory more. It fits into the critical race theory. African, it fits into the critical race theory. These are general terms in the American society. Even if your genealogy don't match up with it, that you're critically, race-wise, being put into these theories. That kind of rhyme. My fault. Go ahead. Do you think?
Yeah. I mean, critical race theory is I subscribe to Dr. Neely Fuller, and that's what I use as the measurement of how I deal with race. So I don't think that critical race theory is effective as far as having a solution for us or our people. I subscribe to Dr. Neely Fuller
Okay.
as a standard, and that's just my personal philosophy. I think that he had the most comprehensive viewpoint of race, as well as not just analyzing race, but finding a solution of how to deal with race. I think that he's the preeminent standard, and that's what I apply to. So whether it's Dr. Neely Fuller or one of his main students like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, that's what I've subscribed to for over 30 years. So it's worked for me, and that's my philosophy, bro.
I ain't mad at that. I always keep it real with you, dog. I ain't gonna really be on some because I ain't no YouTube. I'm live on a radio station having this conversation with you. You know what I'm saying? From my area where I'm at, so I ain't got time to be. Nah. I ain't into critical race theory.
Right.
It didn't mention nationality. It didn't mention the bloodline.
Right.
So clearly, I might have asked you this before. Why do you, even though you defend Black not being a slave title? As a matter of fact, let me stop. On Clubhouse, shout out to Clubhouse. Shout out to the Autonomous Party
Yeah,
on Clubhouse.
shut up the clubhouse. That's
Shout
right.
out to Facebook. Yeah, real talk. Shout out to all my people on Clubhouse, the party. You know what I mean? Shout out to the party. Facebook, Instagram, we there too. You know that. But at the same time, how do you feel about the fact that you're defending Black being a slave title? Because that was his position, right? The person you were for debate tonight. Issa
Correct.
El Mahadi.
Yeah, at least some. Yeah.
How?
Isa Almadi, yeah.
So was Indian a slave title too?
Was Indian a slave title too? That's
I'm
a very
sorry.
good question because I would say
Was
that Indian would not be a
what?
slave title because there's some forms of Indian that ties you to the land as far as being an indigenous person. Being indigenous doesn't mean necessarily there were Indians that were enslaved. There were Indians that were enslaved. There were also
Yes.
Indians that were not enslaved. So the condition of slavery is not quote unquote synonymous with that title of Indian. There were some that were, there were some that were not.
I'm glad you said that. That's why I brought it up. I brought it up for that reason. Like,
Yeah.
if Black don't fit the description of everybody generally being a slave off the title, neither does Indian fit the term of that being the title of slavery.
Yes. I would agree with
When
that.
it
Yes,
comes
sir.
and you're more for the record
Right.
saying this to me tonight
Mhm.
on the record for the
Right.
books between me and you, and you still choose more rather than the term Indian or black. I just want people to understand why you choose that, even though you know that the other terms aren't slave titles. Please, sir.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have the records. They have books of my ancestors that are in here that will show you that they were labeling my people, my great 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 grandfathers as people of color and Negro. But my ancestors in the same book, it says they self-identified as Indian. Like they know who they are. You feel me? Like it's a documented history. I don't have to pull up the book. I can give you the link right now for you to pull it up and read it. They self-identified as Indian when other people or census takers or whatever would label them as something else. So this is not uncommon in anybody's family storyline. Some may be documented, some may not. But it's about how you apply these terms. This person can't come and define who you are. You have a right as a human being to self-define who you are also, you know. So and it actually ties into the one clip that the post that I put in to be posted up so we can kind of, go further in this conversation. Because it says, if we can pull up what the
Got it.
article says.
God got it. God got it. Hey,
Oh,
when you
that's
talk
what's
like this, is
we in good
divine.
hands. Okay, we in good hands.
God got it.
So the
We
name
in good
the name of
hands.
the
We in good
article
hands.
is
Let's go.
Quick Lessons 23. Records do not speak for themselves. It says records do not speak for themselves. Now, this takes us back to, remember what we were just talking about a little earlier about the people in Alabama who would sign themselves over to slavery? Y'all remember that point? Right? And in the
Yeah.
audience, y'all remember
Yes,
that? Okay, perfect. So this is that element of the people who were signing themselves over to slavery. Let's see what it says. It says, no historical records do not speak for themselves. They cannot explain themselves. They are inherent objects created by individuals of a different time, a different culture, and who knows what mindset, if taken at face value, they can deceive, mislead, or confuse. The only voice that documents have is the voice we give them, either through the context we provide or the passive acceptance, which we report them. So let's go down to the point where it says case in point, because this right after that they explain what they're talking about when people were signing themselves over to slavery. But we'll go to the case in point part. It says on the 17th of February, 1860. So again, we're talking about the realm of slavery. This is when slavery was taking place in Alabama. A free woman of color named Cora Bellinger filed a petition with a probate judge in Chambers County, Alabama. According to her words, supposedly they're her words, she was over 21, had been living in Chambers with Miss Elizabeth C. Witter and Henry Witter. The reason for her petition, Cora desires to be the slave of Elizabeth Witter because the attachment and affection she has and bears for Miss Elizabeth C. Witter. What? A free woman desires to become a slave? Recently, a closed online forum researcher, let's go on down to her words where it says here. Hold on just a moment.
No pressure.
No problem. Thank you, brother.
No
Okay.
pressure, bro. No.
So we'll go down to the part where it says Cora was not the only free person of color in Chambers County who reportedly felt she would be better off enslaved. Similar petitions were filed in the names of at least 14 others between the 1861 and 1864 that will be filed in Mobile. And then we'll go down just a little bit further because we have to understand what took place here. Because it says that Cora's petition was in fact a watershed moment for free people of color in Chambers County. It marked a turning point on a slippery slope of restrictions placed upon the counties since 1855. It says here, the next paragraph, it says Cora fought back. 11 days after the petition was filed and 3 days after the legislative bill became a law, she took the Witters to court. So again, Cora Bellinger took the Witters to court. She did not go to the probate court, the one that had agreed to her enslavement, to find the sequel to that petition. We have to comb the record books of the state that served her county. This time, Cora had a white friend to speak for her, a Virginia-born planter who had been her previous guardian before the cabinet maker, Henry Witter, and wife Elizabeth. Cora, a free woman of color, by her next friend, Charles Easley, files the petition. She's a free woman of color under the age of 21 years, and she was born free and always been regarded and treated as free until the few past days. She is now retained, won by Elizabeth Witter, as a slave. What they're saying is that the Witters falsely filed paperwork to make this free woman a slave. You feel me?
I feel you.
The circuit court responded by ordering Elizabeth Witter to post bond for $3,000, following the custom of the time. The bond would have been set at twice the value of the property being litigated. Witter was ordered to appear at the next term of the court for a hearing for the legality of Cora's alleged slavery. At the hearing, Witter and her husband denied the truth of the allegations while Cora stood firm on her charges. Both sides presented their evidence. So Cora went and got all of her evidence proving that she was not only free, but she's never been a slave to anyone. She was born free, and she presented her information. Both sides presented their evidence, waived their right to a trial, and put their trust in the judge. The Alabama court sided with Cora. The judge decree declared that the law is with the petitioner Cora, and that Cora is not and never has been a slave of said Elizabeth C. Witter, but is and ever has been free. The Witters were charged with the cost of the suit. So I just wanted to show that there were examples that were taking place of free people that chose to be slaves. But in Cora's case, you even had free people who never filed anything. They would falsify paperwork to try to make them a slave. So there's a lot of nuances of what were taking place.
Yeah, see,
regarding this status of black and slavery. So I just wanted to show those type of examples of what took place. And I have the census records of Cora. I have it here, and it has it listed on the census as a black woman. So her status was black. Okay. So again, you know, as far as debate, I would use the term discussion as opposed to debate with Isa Al-Mahdi, because he has no position on what we're talking about. We can discuss the topic, but I'm gonna fuck you up if it's really a debate, because you really can't prove your position. And that was just another example I wanted to use.
I know you're right on all them terms. When it comes to law today, the black person was written into the Constitution, right? Independence Day. No, that's what I've heard.
But not blanket wise. There was an element of our people that were written in that. There's been an element of us that's always been free. So it didn't apply to that
part.
Yeah,
I got that part. That's what I'm saying. It's 4th of July, right? It's 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Independence. Continental Congress.
Right.
During the Continental Congress, there was free black people, a part of that Congress. What we would call black people today, they were a part of that organization we call the Continental Congress. Do you agree with that?
I do, yes.
Okay. So with the black people that we will look at today as black, that were a part of the Continental Congress, these are a biracial, triracial in some cases. But mostly what I found is biracial of the European Negro mixed in today with the American Indian who's been classified as a Negro. You agree
Yes.
on that?
I do, because you
All
have
right.
to
So,
really, you have to be firm
all
in
right,
the Huguenot history and how that applied to those signers of those documents.
no more
Yes,
Moravians,
yes,
the Moravians.
I
I
agree.
mean,
One
there's
100%.
different
You're spot on. That's right.
there's different like Negro, Swarthy, Tawny
Right.
people that today will fall underneath the category of Black or African American
Yes.
that really have roots to Benjamin Franklin's statement of 1751. Am I right?
Yes.
1751? 1751.
Mhm.
Hey, I know Remy. Excuse my friend. That's cognac, by the way. When I say that's Remy, that's cognac.
Yeah.
That's French.
No,
That's
no.
not African.
Right.
Wait. No, no, for real. Hey, no. So at the end of the day, real talk, man. I think you've been. Oh, hey, man, homeboy didn't show up. I mean, we just hanging out. I had my popcorn ready. We was ready tonight. Like, I was sitting back like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna sit back
Yeah.
and
It's,
listen.
it's, it's always it's
Like
always
10
good
minutes.
when
What's
you have
wrong, buddy?
opposition. That's always good when you have opposition of somebody saying, you know what, Black is synonymous with slavery. Okay, well just pull up. That's your position. Now you jumped on my post. Now I got hundreds and hundreds of mores on my post on Facebook. I got hundreds of them. None of them are foolish enough to debate me on this topic. But you chose to do that. You chose to say, well, I can prove you wrong. And I say, well, I accept your challenge. Let's meet at the flagpole at 3:00. Right? And I'm at the flagpole. I'm at the flagpole, and you ain't showing up there. But you know what I mean? I was telling you like the period before, you ain't show up. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
Hey, I was really supposed to be the referee.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't supposed to be the person to really get involved in this conversation tonight. But I don't mind having it with you because I don't scare off from it. You see what I'm saying? Because I know that these roots are mixed.
Yeah.
I know that today's time, you might have, again, in most cases, white, based off of really, when you go dig into your genealogy,
Yes,
people that actually originally, that are aboriginal, indigenous, dark-skinned people from
right.
those regions
Mm-hmm.
that migrated to the Americas,
Right.
and they didn't come from Africa on no slave ship.
Correct.
All right, so when we understand that part, we can get to a whole nother conversation. Because see,
Right.
most people are still on I came on a slave ship from Africa.
And that's why
I can't.
shows like this is very important, because it points out the nuances of not assuming that. Don't assume that. There's a lot of different layers to enslavement. There's a lot of different layers of Blackness. There's a lot of different layers of indigenous, and you know what I mean? There's a lot of layers to it. So don't
Yeah.
assume that, you know? Yeah.
Shout out to you for that. No. I still though want to know, because you're the only boy that I talk to on this level like this. Besides Imhotep, shout out to Imhotep. I give Imhotep his credit. You know what I mean? He just lost somebody he loved. So shout out to him. I hope he's holding it down. Say I'm not like one of them people that be banging on other groups and whatever the case might. Like, I just be building. I'm about building. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I understand this generality. Why you gotta come to? You feel me, God? Shout out to God. God. You know, we being sarcastic, right?
Yeah.
BSB. We talk like that. It's just sometimes metaphorical how we speak. If we was rhyming type shit. But shout out to God, the green code. What up? So before you leave us tonight, this more word.
Yes, sir.
Is it a nationality? More.
No, Moor is not a nationality. Moor, it depends on the context that it's used, because you could be a Moorish American. You can be a, you know, what is the national thing that you're connecting it to? Okay, you can be a Moor, But are you saying that you're a more an American? I've seen the term more American used in the 1700s before America was established. I've seen the term more American being used on this soil. So what context are you applying this word? You know what I mean? Just saying that you're a more doesn't necessarily what is the nationality that you're tying it to? You know what I mean? So that's the importance of it all. Just being a more does not mean that you have a nationality behind you. No. That's why you're Moorish American.
Moorish American.
Right.
Now, what's the damn video we watched, God? God, hold on. I'm sorry. What's the video we watched, God? Other brother that we watched that time. Shout out to Lee Cummins and Negro Part 4, 5, 6, and 7. The man got right now out there. Lee Cummins. I'm trying to get him on a podcast, but before I do it, we're gonna have no technical difficulties when I do this. I'm going to get him on. I'm gonna shout it out because I really want to get him on here. Lee Cummins in his books dealing with these nationalities of the swarthy, dark-skinned, Aboriginal, indigenous people that came from out of Ireland, Britain, Scotland, you know what I'm saying? Germany.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm acknowledging these people. I'm acknowledging because this is our bloodline we talking about, not just Africa. And I ain't finding that much Africa based off shout out on my genealogy team. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Shout out to Opie. Shout out to Opie. Shout out to Tenari. Genealogy team we got that really be doing, and Kuramio and a new breed. Because all of them do genealogy. We find a lot of Sephardic Jews, dark skinned. We find a lot of indigenous people, dark skinned, that mix together in this time between the 14th and the 18th century.
Mm-hmm. Right. You will find that mixture taking place.
This is before. Right. That's Irish.
Yeah.
Spanish. French. Who am I missing? Am I missing somebody? British. Irish. Right. Germanic. That Saxon. Welsh. I mean, I could throw down the names, but in this conversation, these people can't all be thought of as white people in today from a color aspect. And no disrespect to the white people, by the way. I don't have no problem with you if today and what we call the white people that have, because I talk to white people and they say, I got Irish, Scottish, and Cherokee. You know what I'm saying? I've heard people tell me this, and they look like white people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we call them today white people.
Yes.
So I'm not disrespecting them for understanding their different backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? I'm not disrespecting the Spanish people I know God can tell me that they got these three different mixtures. But this is how they still came out and look.
Yes.
And their mixture coming out their mama and daddy. I ain't got time to be trying to tell you, you know what I'm saying? God, super. Yes. Am I tripping?
Right. No. No.
Wait a second. What's going on?
Right.
People have bloodlines.
We do.
People have bloodlines. That's the point of the matter. And that go back to
and America
clans,
in general.
Excuse me.
America's a Creole culture in general. So there's going to be a mixture of things that take place
Period.
by this particular land. It's a lot of people that come here.
All that claiming, black, white, in today's critical race theory of who fits in what category, does not denote, and I said denote, a nationality.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I'm not going to get, because again, I ain't come to debate you tonight. You know that, right? So,
of course,
I'm listening to the discussion because the man ain't show up, by the way, for the record. You sent him a link, right? Because all I know is I sent you a link. We had an agreement. So, I'm going off what I was told. So, we here on 4th of July. Can I get Alicia Keys fireworks before we leave? Let's play.
And can y'all pull up that link that I also put in, just so we can go over that part about the American War part?
Yeah, before we leave. We good.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I got you. Before we leave, I just want to make sure I talk to my background. Don't mind me, Ish, when I say that. We handling the studio stuff too at this thing.
He pulled it up to the right part too. I just want to read that into the record that again, this was in
All right.
1760. We know that America, 4th of July, was 1776. So this is before America was established. You see the transcript here. This is a document, first-hand document you see there, written in the Dutch. It says, an American Moor has been publicly baptized in the church, he being a slave owned by the noble Lord Singlastus Palek, former of the Council of Police, Criminal and Civil Justice of the colony of Suriname. So this was in Suriname, meaning in South America, but they were using the term an American Moor in 1760. So I just wanted to read that into the record that these are the terms that were being used. When you say terms like Moor or Moorish, you got to find out what's the nationality that you're applying to it. That's why it was important. So that was before America was established. The term American Moor was already being used. I just wanted to put that in. Thank you.
Wait. God. Pull up. Have you heard that before? Have you heard that before? Ishmael, rewind.
Yes, sir.
Say that again. Please.
Rewind my selector.
Read that one more time.
Let's bring that back. Bring that beat back. Yeah. Okay. So
bring it back. Go ahead.
So yeah, it's dealing with the term American Moor being used in 1760 by the documentation of, again, when people say that, Moor is a nationality, you have to say, okay, well, what is the country or what is the nation that you're tying it to? So I just wanted to show you an example before America was established that the term American Moor was already being used.
Yeah. I thank you for that.
You're welcome, brother.
That's being honest. It's no problem. I have no problem with people using the description.
Right.
Just like people that ascribe to Hebrew. I don't have a problem. That's what it is.
Right.
But
I agree.
There is dynasties. There is empires. There is kingdoms. There is clans. There is tribes. There is nations of people.
Yes, sir.
That you in your bloodline that took to make up the term America.
Right.
1828 definition of America. And all this ideology views, because shout out to the Autonomous Party, by the way. I'm keeping it real right now. I don't really get caught up in semantics, right? So in the conversation of, I understand the perspectives, the whole, but I disregard Africa for one reason. Not because I don't have love for people that I know that are African.
Yes.
Just because everybody that's labeled black is African is my problem.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
My problem. That's not the truth.
The blanket terms,
that's not the truth.
Synonymous terms. It's not the truth. Correct.
It's not the truth. No. That kind of blanket us to a narrative that they has marginalized us to think that as our heritage only from one place. And I don't believe in Darwinism, Marxism, whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with the indigenous bloodline of my family, and I look at their heritage and culture, and I look at the blackout. Okay, I look at the Aboriginal. When I say Aboriginal, in this case, underneath the white term.
Yes.
Original people that originated from these areas and came and mixed in with the indigenous people of America. That makes more sense to me.
It does make sense. And that's why it's important.
Africa.
That's why it's important that we labeled it was white philanthropists who were pushing that false narrative. That's why that was so very important. Because there were white people who were constructing the educational system. You find the same characters that were doing that. You'll find the Rockefeller money was financing the education, pushing that same lie and putting puppet Negroes in front of the people as representatives.
Mm-hmm. Before I leave you tonight, what do you think about pull up the Moorish American arms shit? You heard about the Moors that got caught up in Boston, right?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
You heard about the Moorish American arms? I know you heard about it. I know you heard about these Moorish American arms in Massachusetts, Boston. How does that work? Because not all. See, first is before we keep moving. I don't see when I talk about when I come across people.
Yes.
Because of what I've learned, you might say you're more. But in my conversation of knowing you, I can't group you with other people that say they're Moors, for the record. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to group you. What's the brother that just won office in Syracuse, by the way? You from Syracuse.
Ishmael Bey. Mm-hmm.
What position? What's the position he? What is it? Break it. Give the people shut up. Give them a shut up.
Yeah, Brother Khaled Bey. He's a 10-year councilman of Syracuse, New York. He just won the Democratic primary to represent the Democratic Party for mayor of Syracuse, New York. So he'll be running against the incumbent mayor right now, but he'll be representing the Democratic Party. So it's a very powerful position that he's running for, and we're going to make sure that we put him in City Hall. Again, his name is Khaled Bey.
So, you know what's crazy about that, right? That's why I don't want nobody to get caught up in my shit. I ain't caught up in that shit. You see me? That's a shout out to the man that's moving politically in his city to make things happen. And he describes himself as a Moorish American, right?
That's correct. Right? That's correct.
So for the record, this ain't no on my side. You feel me? God. Shout out to God. Shout out to Super, BSB. You know what I mean? As Maroons, we do not get caught up in that situation of debate of, oh, no. That's all right. Whoever doing that's cool. But, no, it's not cool, by the way. But with you, I'm asking, with the standpoint of more, and you've been in this game 20-something years, bro. Like, you put me with, shout out to you for putting me with the attorney. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. Who wrote, shout him out too, by the way. I'm going to let you do that. Shout that out.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz. Definitely, you know, doing some great works as far as the new Black Panther Party and just representing our people nationally. So definitely a big shout out to the new Black Panther Party and a big shout out to attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz. Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate you for sliding him our way. And let's have a conversation with him with his book of Khaled, right? The book of Khaled, right? I want to make sure I shout that out. You know what I'm saying? Because we got time. I ain't gonna got time. Shout out Music Media Lounge. Take a for me slide a little late because our conversation just happened to be this way, and I ain't planned it. How we planned it, just happened to put your lie. I ain't gonna lie. It is what it is. But still, because people gonna see this conversation we're having. I'm letting you know this work get out. You know what I'm saying? I don't hold back on what we naturally just happen to be talking about on this live podcast show that we having. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the word, one more time for the people that might not have heard it the first time, do have many backgrounds. The term more in the nationality are not inclusive to as far as meaning this word more is more important than the term white or black when it comes to a nationality. If you get where I'm going.
Correct. One has to define their national presence. That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's honest. On all levels. That's if you say you were Indian, right? You know what I mean? That don't mean I don't care what titles you using generally, this is not necessarily the term that builds on your nationality. I just want to make sure
No,
we having this
I'm
conversation
I'm
on
a
my side.
proponent of independence. So ultimately, I would think that a person should be striving to create their own independent national identity. I'm not trying to work as hard as I can to be woven into the fabric of the United States government. I'm not. That's not my aspect. There are some Moors that do. In fact, there's a majority of Moors that do. I'm a proponent of independence. That's my focus.
Man, this, hey, before we leave tonight, y'all, listen, this is why I tell y'all I fuck with Ishmael Bey. Out of all the ones I fuck with, Ishmael, there's a couple other I fuck with too. I ain't gonna front, but me and you have shout out to the
That's right.
Muskogee. How you want to
Hmm.
pronounce it? You know what I'm talking about when I say it. You see
No,
me, heritage wise, but on a political level, I can have a conversation with you. We can rap. You know what I'm saying? Because on my level of thinking, and I might not describe myself in the same manner, but we understand our genealogies. You know what I'm saying? And how we
correct.
can link and have this conversation,
Right. Yes. Everything ties
even
from
if
our
we might just say on the
genealogy.
gen. I
That's
would say
correct.
I'm a Moor, but I still say I can relate it.
Right.
Right. So you see what I'm saying? God, you see what I'm saying? God, like that has nothing to do with this religious thing, or sometimes terms our ancestors use. Man, shit, this shit crazy, man. I could talk about this shit all night. See, but I ain't got that much time. I wish we had more time. If I'd have known that this man was gonna show up, I'd have prepared myself differently. He caught me off guard. I ain't
I
gonna
would
lie.
have prepared. I would have prepared too. I got like 60 slides I haven't even like put
See what
up.
I'm
But
saying?
I'm ready to give you that. Yeah, I'm ready to like deliver that work.
No,
But
no, no.
this was a better context because the creator is the best knower, and for the people to get the information is really the most important thing. I think we added a context in our conversation. I think that we're kind of able to make examples and show examples of the perspective. And I want to thank you again for creating a platform that's impartial because again, it has to be in an area where people feel comfortable with. It's not heavy on a Moore side. It's not heavy on a Black Power side. It's about education and teaching the people and allowing them to discern it for themselves. You created this type of a platform, and I thank you for that, brother. Thank you so much, brother man.
Listen, man. Hey, I've come a long way in my own transgressions and my trials and tribulations. My own. That's why I'm not. I'm humbled to be able to say to you that I've come to this enlightenment, that I have an understanding of my genealogy, my understanding of sociology, the political understanding, the economic understanding of what we need to do together, as they call black,
Yes.
by the way, for those that
Mhm.
think I'm being petty when it comes to that part, because I'm not. I understand it. Okay. Yeah, the celebration. Well, bit, is it our companies running those businesses?
Right.
If you look like me, I
Right.
don't give it. Okay, we're gonna be general, by the way. You feel me, God? I'm gonna
Hmm.
be general when it comes to that kind of shit, holidays and shit, right? Are
Right.
we, our families, taking advantage of those things, economically speaking? That's different. But when it
Hmm.
comes to culture and our ethnicity and our nationality,
Right.
I don't get general when it comes to that no more. I'm not
Hmm.
general. I'm not
You
gonna
got to
let
be
you label
specific.
me.
You
I'm gonna
got to be
self-identify.
specific.
I'm be.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna self-identify myself. By the
Yeah.
way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because I I know my shit different than everybody else's. If I had to pick one, I've already told you that
Hmm.
Aboriginal American,
Yes.
based off the 1828 definition
Right.
of America,
Hmm.
Webster
Right.
Dictionary, right?
Hmm.
God, I am the mixture of the swarthy European, Scottish,
Right.
Irish, Spanish, French,
Hmm.
colon people that came
Yes.
over. When I say swarthy, I'm talking about dark skin,
Yeah.
Aboriginal, indigenous
Yeah.
people, by the
That's what
way,
I call
that
black.
came from
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
areas
Yeah. I got
and
you.
mixed in with what you call black. I get
Yeah.
that, all right. So that's who's labeled black today. I get that
Yeah.
part. Are we done?
Yeah.
Anybody else? I get that part, by the way.
Right.
No debate with me on that level. Anybody that's thinking anywhere else, I don't know where they at. But I understand that. But now, technically,
Yes.
white and American Indian were really, genealogically speaking, fit my description on
Mm-hmm.
paper
Yeah.
based off of genealogy,
Mm-hmm.
not connotative terms that we've been given from our oppressors. I
Yes.
say it frankly, no implant to the Franks or the French side of the family. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
talking about, you know what I mean when I said that.
I do indeed. Yeah. Yeah. I'm in line. Yeah. I agree.
All right. Peace and love, man. Thank you very much for sharing this night with us.
You're welcome, Great King. Thank you. And thank your team. Again, you always make me feel very comfortable and very welcome. I always want to make sure I'm in service to the people. And thank you so much, Autonomous Party, for everything that y'all do for us. Even on Clubhouse, even on YouTube, even on social media. Y'all always put in that work. And I'm going to support you 100%. I do thank you, family.
Hey, listen, man. All we want our people really to do, as we label it together, since we're labeled together, is become more autonomous.
Right.
No matter backgrounds, more Hebrew, indigenous heritage. If your genealogy points to what it points to, and you're still labeled today in America a black, Negro, or colored, when you find out these things, it still comes back to the reality that we together have to work together. You see me?
Right.
A like-minded situation, our bloodlines doesn't mean more than the general things that we're all facing, no matter where we live at in the country of America, north,
Right.
south, or central.
I want to make sure I
So,
let your public know that I'm going to post the links that I was using tonight on my website, which is firsttribenation.com. Again, that's firsttribenation.com.
mhm.
I'll post up the links of the different parts that we were talking about tonight. Will be available in the study section of the website. Okay.
Like again, I'm sorry for everybody. Know it's 4th of July. I've been drinking Remy on the French side of things, and no, um, yeah, we indigenous over here. But when I say indigenous, I know, like you just said, dark skinned people on the indigenous and the foreign side that came and mixed in were here before 4th of July today, the date that we celebrating.
Facts.
That's my point. I'm gonna point out. You hear
Facts.
me?
Yes, sir.
You see what I just said, right? That simple. You see, God, what I just said. I mean, there was dark skinned foreign people that look like me and you here before 4th of July. And it was
Correct.
dark skinned indigenous people that they was marrying and having babies with before 4th of July. You did.
I just showed
Take
you
it how you
American
want it.
War from 1760, but that's all. I ain't gonna lead it no more.
I'm
I'll
done.
catch you. I'm gonna catch you on the clubhouse. All right. I'm gonna shout out y'all later. All right.
All right.
All right,
Peace and
family.
love.
Black Power.
Fireworks, man. Give me that fireworks shit before we get out of here tonight. Hey, get out of here before. Hey, shout out to Ishmael. I don't know what the other man. I want to know what he was going to present because I can't even talk about all those things on his side. I've been disingenuous. You know what I'm saying? For me to go from his perspective because I ain't gonna play his perspective because I ain't come to play that role tonight. I came really just to see what they were going to say about this, but it still came with a great presentation, and I get his point connotatively and denotatively. God, what you think?
Yeah,
You know,
I wanted to see the discussion, but it ended up being a good discussion
all right.
between y'all.
Yeah, I mean, that's me sidelining it. I had to come off the sideline, dog. You know, I ain't playing that. That wasn't what it was playing to do. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna make it happen how we happen, no matter what happens. We autonomous in what we do. See me? This vibe. Super vibe with us. 4th of July weekend. We out of here.